There are people watching this video right now who secretly know they were meant for more success, more freedom, more impact, more life than the one they are currently living. But every single day they fight a silent battle inside their own mind. A battle between belief and doubt, between ambition and fear, between the version of themselves they are today and the powerful person they could become tomorrow. Right now, somewhere in America, someone is working a job they hate while dreaming about financial freedom. Someone is lying awake at night, terrified that their life will never change. Someone is carrying a vision so big that it scares them to even say it out loud because they are afraid people will laugh, judge, or tell them it is impossible. And maybe that person is you. Maybe you have spent years waiting for support, waiting for confidence, waiting for proof that you are capable of greatness. But what if the reason your life has not changed yet is because you are waiting for, or the world to believe in you first? Listen carefully. The world almost never believes in people at the beginning. It believes after the results appear. It celebrates after the victory is already visible. But every successful person you admire once stood completely alone with nothing except an idea, a dream, and the decision to keep believing when nobody else could see their vision. This speech is for the person who feels overlooked, the person tired of doubting themselves, the person who knows deep down they are capable of more but keeps fighting fear, rejection, and uncertainty. Because today, you are going to understand one life-changing truth. If you do not learn to believe in yourself before the evidence appears, you may spend your entire life waiting for permission to become extraordinary. So stay with me until the very end of this video, because what you are about to hear could completely change the way you see yourself, your future, and the unlimited potential already living I. Inside you, self-belief always comes before outside validation because the world responds to visible results, not invisible vision. In the early stages of every dream, there is usually no evidence that success will happen. No trophies, no money, no recognition, and no applause. All that exists is an idea inside your mind and a feeling deep in your heart that your life can become something greater. Most people fail during this stage because they expect encouragement before they have created results. They want certainty before taking action. They want support before proving themselves. But life does not work that way. The people who eventually achieve greatness are often the same people who spent months or years walking alone with nothing except belief guiding them forward. The world usually doubts what it cannot yet see. Friends may question your decisions. Family may not understand your ambition. And society may try to convince you to stay realistic and comfortable. That is because most people measure possibility through current circumstances instead of future potential. When someone starts speaking about building a business, changing their life, becoming wealthy, or achieving something extraordinary, others often focus on their current position instead of their future direction. A person working a low-paying job may already see a future millionaire version of themselves in their imagination, but nobody around them can see it yet. The dream exists internally before it appears externally. This is why self-belief becomes the foundation of every major achievement. Without it, a person quits the moment criticism, rejection, or failure appears. External validation is unreliable because it usually arrives late. People celebrate success after it becomes obvious, but very few support the difficult beginning where sacrifice, uncertainty, and struggle are required. History repeatedly shows that individuals who transformed their lives first had to trust themselves when nobody else did. They had to continue working without recognition, improving without applause, and persisting without guarantees. Self-belief acts like emotional fuel during those lonely stages. It allows a person to continue moving even when results are delayed. It creates resilience during failure and confidence during uncertainty. When someone truly believes in their vision, they begin acting differently. Their mindset becomes stronger, their discipline improves, and their decisions begin aligning with the future they imagine for themselves. That internal belief eventually produces external results, but the process always starts inside first. A building cannot stand without a foundation, and success cannot survive without belief. The danger is that many people allow temporary opinions to destroy permanent possibilities. They stop pursuing their goals because others cannot understand and what they feel inside. They mistake doubt from others as proof that the dream is impossible, when in reality it is simply proof that the dream has not become visible yet. Great achievements are usually born in silence long before the world recognizes them. Your imagination creates your future identity because the mind always builds a picture before life builds the reality. Every major achievement first exists as a thought, an image, or a vision inside someone's imagination long before it becomes visible to the world. A person does not suddenly wake up successful one day by accident. They first spend time mentally seeing a different version of themselves. They imagine becoming stronger, wealthier, more confident, more disciplined, or more influential. That internal image slowly begins shaping their behavior, decisions, and habits. The human mind naturally moves toward the picture it repeatedly holds. If someone constantly imagines failure, limitation, and disappointment, their action. This often reflects fear and hesitation. But when someone consistently imagines growth, achievement, and possibility, they begin acting with greater purpose and confidence. Imagination is not fantasy when it is connected to action. It becomes a blueprint for transformation. Every skyscraper once existed only in the imagination of an architect. Every invention existed first as an invisible idea before becoming a physical reality. In the same way, your future identity begins with the image you create in your own mind. Many people remain trapped in small lives because they never allow themselves to imagine something greater. They let current circumstances define their future potential. A person struggling financially may begin believing poverty is permanent. Someone facing rejection may begin believing they are unworthy of success. Over time, those repeated mental images become part of their identity. But the opposite is also true. When a person starts imagining a higher version of themselves, their mindset begins to shift. They start speaking differently, carrying themselves differently, and making decisions that align with the future they want to create. Imagination influences emotional energy, and emotional energy influences behavior. Someone who clearly sees a brighter future often develops the motivation to endure temporary hardship because they are emotionally connected to a larger vision. This is why powerful dreams can survive difficult circumstances. The imagination gives meaning to sacrifice and direction to effort. Many successful individuals spent years mentally rehearsing the life they wanted before it became real. They saw themselves succeeding before the evidence appeared. They imagined opportunities before they arrived. They mentally lived in their future while physically standing in ordinary circumstances. The mind cannot completely separate vivid imagination from reality, which is why repeated visualization strengthens belief and confidence over time. When you consistently picture yourself becoming disciplined, successful, or impactful, your subconscious mind slowly begins accepting that identity as possible. Once the mind accepts a new identity, behavior starts changing naturally. A person who sees themselves as capable becomes more willing to take risks, learn new skills, and persist through failure. The danger is that many people use imagination against themselves by constantly visualizing fear, embarrassment, rejection, and defeat. Instead of mentally creating opportunity, they mentally rehearse failure every day until doubt becomes stronger than ambition and limitation becomes stronger than possibility. Fear and doubt are the greatest dream killers because they destroy possibility before failure ever gets the chance to. Most people do not lose their dreams because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. They lose because fear slowly convinces them to stop believing in themselves. Fear attacks the mind before reality even has a chance to unfold. It creates imaginary failures, imaginary humiliation, and imaginary defeat until a person becomes trapped inside hesitation. Doubt works quietly and gradually. It whispers questions into the mind like, what if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself? What if you are not good enough? Over time, those thoughts become emotional weight that weakens confidence and destroys momentum. A person may have a powerful vision for their future, but if fear becomes stronger than belief, they often abandon the dream before taking meaningful action. Many people spend their entire lives staying inside safe routines, not because they are incapable of greatness, but because fear makes comfort feel safer than growth. Fear convinces people to settle for less than what they truly desire. It teaches them to avoid risks, hide their ambitions, and lower their standards in order to avoid temporary pain or rejection. Doubt also grows stronger when people constantly compare themselves. Ease to others. They begin believing they are too late, too inexperienced, too ordinary, or too flawed to succeed. Instead of focusing on progress, they focus on their insecurities. This weakens their ability to act with confidence. The dangerous part about fear and doubt is that they often sound logical. They disguise themselves as realism and caution. A person may say they are being practical when in reality they are simply afraid of failure. Fear creates excuses that feel reasonable enough to stop action. It tells people to wait for the perfect moment, more confidence, more money, or more certainty before starting. But that perfect moment rarely arrives. Meanwhile, time continues moving forward while potential remains unused. Every successful individual eventually had to confront fear directly. They had moments where uncertainty, criticism, and rejection tested their confidence. The difference is that they refused to let fear make decisions for them. Courage does not mean absence. E of fear. It means continuing to move despite fear. Doubt becomes weaker through action, while fear becomes stronger through avoidance. The longer a person avoids taking action, the more powerful fear becomes in their mind. But once someone begins moving toward their goals, confidence slowly grows through experience. Failure itself is rarely what destroys people permanently. It is the fear of failure that prevents them from discovering their true potential. Many dreams die in silence because people allow doubt to overpower vision before success has time to develop. The mind becomes a battlefield where belief and fear constantly compete for control, and whichever one a person feeds consistently eventually shapes the direction of their future and determines the size of the life they are willing to pursue. Persistence transforms belief into results, because success is rarely created through one moment of inspiration or one burst of motivation. Most achievements are built through repeated effort over long periods of time, especially during moments when progress feels invisible. Many people begin with excitement and confidence, but very few continue when difficulties, failures, delays, and disappointments appear. Persistence is what separates temporary motivation from lasting transformation. A person may believe deeply in their dream, but belief alone changes nothing without consistent action. Persistence is the bridge between vision and reality. It is the ability to keep moving even when results are slow, circumstances are difficult, and emotions fluctuate. The world often celebrates visible success while ignoring the years of persistence that created it. Behind every successful person are countless moments where quitting would have been easier. There are failures nobody saw, sleepless nights nobody applauded, and sacrifices nobody recognized. Persistence allows a person to survive those seasons long enough for growth to happen. And most people underestimate how long success can take. They expect immediate results and become discouraged when life does not change quickly. When expectations clash with reality, frustration appears. Some people stop after one rejection, one mistake, or one setback because they interpret temporary failure as permanent defeat. But failure is often part of the process, not proof that the dream is impossible. Every mistake contains lessons that strengthen experience, judgment, and resilience. Persistence gives those lessons time to shape a person into someone capable of handling greater opportunities. It also trains the mind to expect progress instead of defeat. Each time a person continues despite difficulty, they strengthen their mental endurance. Confidence begins growing, not because circumstances become easy, but because they prove to themselves they can survive challenges without giving up. Repeated action creates momentum, and momentum gradually changes identity. A person who onset consistently shows up begins seeing themselves as disciplined, determined, and capable. Persistence also builds trust in oneself. When someone repeatedly follows through on commitments, their self-respect increases because their actions align with their goals. Many people wait to feel motivated before acting, but persistence teaches that action must continue even when motivation disappears. Motivation is temporary, but disciplined persistence creates lasting results. Life often tests people before rewarding them. Challenges reveal whether someone truly wants success or simply likes the idea of it. Persistence becomes powerful because it allows time for opportunities, growth, and preparation to align. Many breakthroughs happen after long periods when nothing seems to change externally. A person may feel stuck while invisible progress is still occurring internally through learning, experience, and character development. Persistence keeps the dream alive long enough for those hidden ease to produce visible outcomes. Without persistence, talent becomes wasted potential and dreams remain unfinished. The individuals who eventually achieve extraordinary results are often not the most gifted at the beginning, but the ones who refused to stop when the process became difficult, painful, repetitive, uncertain, and emotionally exhausting. Environment influences confidence because the human mind is constantly shaped by the people conversations, habits, and emotional energy surrounding it. No person develops entirely alone. The atmosphere someone lives in slowly affects how they think, what they believe is possible, and how they see themselves. When a person spends most of their time around negativity, criticism, fear, and limitation, those attitudes eventually begin influencing their mindset. People who constantly complain about life, money, success, or opportunity can unconsciously weaken another person's ambition. Negative environments train the mind to focus on obstacles instead of possibilities. Over time, constant exposure to discouragement can make even talented and capable individuals begin doubting themselves. This is why many dreams disappear before they ever become reality. A person may start with excitement and vision, but if they are surrounded by people who mock ambition, criticize growth, or fear change, their confidence slowly begins to shrink. Human beings naturally absorb emotional energy from their surroundings. If everyone around someone believes success is impossible, eventually that belief can start feeling normal. On the other hand, a strong and empowering environment can dramatically strengthen confidence. Being around disciplined, motivated, optimistic, and growth-focused people changes the way a person thinks about life. It raises standards and expands belief. When someone consistently hears conversations about opportunity, improvement, discipline, and achievement, their starts adapting to those expectations. Environment influences identity because repeated exposure shapes what feels normal. If a person grows up in an environment where nobody dreams bigger, takes risks, or pursues excellence, mediocrity can feel acceptable. But when they enter environments filled with driven individuals, they begin realizing greater possibilities for themselves. The books people read, the videos they watch, the music they consume, and the voices they listen to daily also become part of their environment. Every influence either feeds courage or feeds fear. Confidence is not only built internally, it is also strengthened or weakened externally through repeated exposure. This is why protecting mental space becomes essential for growth. A person cannot constantly feed their mind negativity and expect to maintain powerful belief in themselves. Successful individuals often become intentional about their environment because they understand its influence on mindset. They could choose relationships, habits, and information carefully because they know energy is contagious. Discipline becomes easier in environments that encourage progress, while weakness becomes easier in environments that normalize excuses. Even physical surroundings can affect confidence. Clean, organized, and productive spaces often encourage clearer thinking and stronger focus, while chaotic environments can increase stress and distraction. The danger is that many people underestimate how much their surroundings shape their future. They believe they can maintain powerful confidence while remaining constantly surrounded by doubt, gossip, pessimism, and limitation. Eventually, the environment begins influencing their emotions, decisions, and self-image. A person who wants to grow must sometimes separate from environments that continuously weaken their vision because confidence thrives where possibility, discipline, encouragement, and growth are repeatedly reinforced through daily influence and consistent emotional exposure. Success is first won internally, then externally, because every major transformation begins in the mind before it appears in real life. External results are usually the reflection of an internal shift that happened long before anyone else noticed it. A person does not suddenly become confident, disciplined, wealthy, or influential overnight. The visible outcome is often the final stage of a much deeper internal process involving belief, mindset, emotional control, and self-identity. Before someone changes their circumstances, they usually change the way they think about themselves and their future. Internal victory means overcoming fear, doubt, insecurity, excuses, and limiting beliefs before overcoming external obstacles. Many people attempt to change their life externally without first changing internally, which is why their progress often becomes temporary. Real success requires becoming a different person mentally before living a different life physically. A person who still thinks like a victim will struggle to maintain success even if opportunity appears. Someone who internally believes they are unworthy may sabotage progress because their mindset does not match the reality they desire. Internal beliefs always influence external behavior. The mind acts like a hidden blueprint that shapes decisions, habits, emotional reactions, and levels of persistence. When someone internally accepts higher standards for themselves, their actions begin aligning with that new identity. They become more disciplined, focused, and intentional because their inner world changes first. This is why successful individuals often speak about mindset before strategy. Strategy matters, but mindset determines whether a person consistently applies that strategy during difficult times. Internal victory also means learning to control emotions instead of being controlled. Hit by them. Life constantly presents challenges, criticism, rejection, uncertainty, and setbacks. A person who has not developed emotional strength internally often collapses under external pressure. But someone who has built resilience within themselves can continue moving forward even when circumstances become painful or unpredictable. Confidence, discipline, patience, and belief are internal qualities that eventually create external results over time. Every visible achievement was once invisible preparation. Before an athlete wins publicly, they first train privately. Before an entrepreneur succeeds financially, they first develop the mindset necessary to handle risk, failure, and responsibility. Before someone transforms their life, they first win the mental battle against limitation and fear. The public usually notices the final result while remaining unaware of the internal struggle that created it. This is why two people can face the same opportunity but produce completely different outcomes. One sees possibility while the other sees fear because their internal worlds are different. The danger is that many people focus only on appearances of success without strengthening the mindset required to sustain it. They chase money, status, or recognition while neglecting discipline, self-control, emotional intelligence, and belief. External success without internal growth often becomes unstable. Lasting achievement is built when the inner world becomes strong enough to support the outer world. A person who conquers their mind gains the ability to remain focused despite distractions, hopeful despite setbacks, and committed despite uncertainty, because true transformation always begins where nobody else can see it first in the end. Your future will not be decided by the opinions of strangers, the doubts of society, or the fear inside your mind. It will be decided by one thing: whether you had the courage to believe in yourself before the results appeared. Every successful person was once invisible. Every powerful story once looked impossible. Every great achievement once lived only inside someone's imagination. The people who changed their lives were not always the smartest, richest, or most talented in the room. They were simply the ones who refused to quit on themselves when life became difficult. So when the world doubts you, keep moving. When progress feels slow, keep working. When fear whispers that you are not enough, remember that greatness is never created inside comfort zones. You were not born to spend your life trapped by limitation, excuses, or average thinking. There is a stronger version of you waiting on the other side of discipline, belief, persistence, and courage. Trust your vision even when nobody else understands it yet. One day, the same people who questioned your dream will look at your life and wonder how you did it. And the answer will be simple: you believed before anyone else did. I truly hope this message awakens something powerful inside you and gives you the strength to keep chasing the life you deserve. May you build the confidence to trust yourself, the discipline to stay focused, and the courage to rise above every obstacle standing in your way. Good luck on your journey toward success, growth, freedom, and greatness. Thank you so much for listening and spending your valuable time here. If this message inspired you in any way, make sure you follow and support my channel, Mind Wealth Theory, for more powerful motivational speeches and life-changing mindset content designed to help you unlock your highest potential and transform your future.